Embracer lays off staff at Star Trek Infinite dev Nimble Giant. Now, obviously, this is bad news and we need to talk about it. This article from GameDeveloper.com just dropped yesterday. I wanted to talk about it then, but I've only had a chance to do so now. So, more layoffs at Embracer, this time at Nimble Giant Entertainment, per Kotaku, and we're going to look at that article in a minute. Around 30 workers were laid off at the Argentinian studio. Nimble Giant released Star Trek Infinite in 2023 and also worked on Rocket Arena and Quantum League. Several ex-staff had recently confirmed they were caught up in the reductions. We're going to be looking at that as well because we know at least some of these employees who were cut were working on Star Trek Infinite. We're over here now on the Kotaku article. 31 days into 2024 and 6,100 video game layoffs have been announced. Now this is actually a pretty big deal. It does say down here, within the last few years, the video game industry layoffs have unfortunately become more commonplace. Here's the kicker. In 2023, we saw nearly weekly layoffs across the entire industry. When the dust settled, at least 6,000 jobs across publishers, developers, and other video game-related companies had been terminated. So in the entirety of last year, the full year, there was 6,000 layoffs. And we've already seen announcements so far in January for another 6,000. So things are only ramping up from here. The layoffs are only accelerating. If you scroll down far enough from this dystopian list of publishers and layoffs, you can find it down here. Let's go ahead and search for it. Nimble Giant Entertainment, roughly 30 people. Kotaku has learned that Argentina-based Nimble Giant Entertainment has laid off roughly 30 people on January 30. The studio was founded in 2002 and recently released 4X strategy game Star Trek Infinite in 2023. Some affected employees have posted about the layoffs publicly online. Now, here's the point in the video where we need to discuss something important: the difference between a publisher and a game studio. So let's go ahead and jump on over into Steam. As you can see, I'm on the Steam page for Star Trek Infinite, and there is two important names right down over here. One is the developer, Nimble Giant Entertainment, and the other is the publisher, Paradox Interactive. I think a lot of people were thinking that the game would be safer than it is because it was a Paradox game and it would receive more support and lots of DLC and all those sorts of things. But in reality, all that Paradox really did was publish the game. They were clearly more involved than that because it is forked off of Stellaris, which is a game made by Paradox, but Star Trek Infinite is not a Paradox game, if that makes any sense. Because Nimble Giant Entertainment is owned by Embracer Group. It is an Embracer Group studio. They made this game, and then Paradox just published it for them. So in order to see the difference, let's hop on over to Wikipedia. Okay, we're on the Wikipedia page for Paradox Interactive, and if you scroll down a little bit here, it will tell you that they have some in-house development studios. One of them, the flagship one as they call it, is Paradox Development Studio. So Paradox Interactive does own multiple in-house game studios that make games which are, of course, published by Paradox. But they also publish a lot of games made by other game studios. Click on the Paradox Development Studio, and even though they make quite a few games, you will see that most of the games published by Paradox are not actually made in-house. Stellaris is one, Crusader Kings 3, Victoria 3, Hearts of Iron, Europa Universalis. These are all games that are made in-house by Paradox and published by Paradox. Now, I made a video a little while back talking about why I thought Star Trek Infinite didn't have a future, and that was based off of looking at Nimble Giant Entertainment as a game studio. A lot of their games don't do very well. They make a bunch of games that end up either getting shut down, the servers get shut down, or they get taken offline, or they get pulled from Steam, or whatever. This is not a studio that has a good track record with games, and unfortunately, it looks like this is coming true again with Star Trek Infinite. Over here on LinkedIn, we can see Dylan Ian here. So it's not about him. Don't make it about him. He's just someone from Nimble Giant who is sharing their story on LinkedIn here. Hi, I have recently been hit by the wave of massive layoffs. As of today, I am open to new proposals and challenges. In almost 3 years in Nimble Giant Entertainment, I've gained valuable experience during the development of Star Trek Infinite. I was in charge of an important mechanic such as the mission tree. I also participated in the game balance and developed scripting and documentation skills. It's really unfortunate for this person and the other 29 people who are being laid off in this round of layoffs. But this is the third round of layoffs, as we saw from Kotaku, that are hitting Nimble Giant Entertainment. Let's just go ahead and take a quick look at the Steam charts. Now, this isn't official data from Steam, but we can go to SteamDB, we can go to Steam charts, and get a pretty good idea of what people are playing. Now, if I just type in Star Trek here like I did, already, you can see Star Trek Online, current players, 1,800, 30-day average, about 1,200, and that's because they have a event going on right now for the 14th anniversary. Star Trek Infinite used to have a lot more. Now it's down to 168 with a 30-day average of only 214. Now I'm going to tell you what's really sad. It has less players right now than Star Trek Timelines, which is a mobile game, and no joke, one of the worst games I have ever played in my entire life. Star Trek Timelines is complete garbage. So if you want to see a video of me dunking on that, let me know, but I don't really want to subject myself to it anymore. And most of the people playing Star Trek Timelines are doing so on a mobile device. So the fact that the desktop port, specifically on Steam, is outperforming Star Trek Infinite is pretty darn sad. If we come down a little bit more, you can see Star Trek 25th Anniversary. The 30-day average on that is 0.9 players, and I'm pretty sure that's just me, because I've been playing it while working on a video on the 25th anniversary Star Trek games, so I might be the one contributing to this 0.9 here. Come over to SteamDB, and it's a pretty similar picture. We type in Star Trek Infinite, and we can see here that the rating is pretty bad. It only has 58%, and it's falling. It says there's 169 people in-game right now, but what's more interesting is when we click on the charts down here, and you can see that the all-time peak was 5,562 4 months ago when the game launched. It is now currently 169 with a 24-hour peak of 180, which is a little bit less than Steam charts said, but again, these sites are estimating it the best they can based on the data available to them. We don't actually have the real numbers from Steam. Still, that is a massive decline. From 5,000 players at launch to 200 players now is a ridiculous cratering, and they've been pretty much silent. If we pop on back over to Steam again and we take a look at the updates, because that is something you can do, they just kind of stop. So they put out something in December 5th, and then we haven't heard anything since then. They were doing weekly updates up until then, and it's also been rumored that they are currently in contract negotiations in order to maintain the rights to Star Trek. So it's possible the whole thing is going to get pulled anyway if they lose the rights to Star Trek in the first place. Star Trek Infinite doesn't really feel like it ever had a future, and I feel bad about the fact that I was down on it early on, and I feel bad about the fact that I happened to be right about this situation, but it was always a knockoff of Stellaris by a different game studio that had a shaky track record, that was owned by Embracer Group. Paradox is not owned by Embracer Group. It is its own thing, and it can survive on its own. So this was just Paradox as a publisher saying, yeah, we'll throw you a bone. We'll give you a fork of Stellaris. You can make basically a Star Trek mod out of it, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure that Paradox is not too happy about this situation, but Nimble Giant ultimately, and all the people who bought the game, are the real losers here, especially the 30 people who were laid off. My condolences go out to them. Hopefully they're able to land on their feet. And if you want to hear more about Nimble Giant Entertainment and why I forecasted this outcome in the past, then click this video right here.